This episode is produced by Pet Fox Studios. Pet Fox Studios is a recording studio in Morris, Minnesota. Visit petfoxstudios.com for more information. Welcome, listeners, to the Roasted Christian Podcast. This is Bobby.
And I'm John. Here at the Roasted Christian, we like our ideas the way we like our coffee.
Roasted. Well, John's drinking, so I'll throw that in. That was my poor attempt to do kind of like a hymn style. I should have done a little bit. We're like, this is the Roasted Christian Podcast. This is Bobby.
And John.
Have you ever gone, now you grew up in a more charismatic.
Are you talking liturgy
yeah,
thinger?
Have you been to some Catholic masses, some Lutheran masses?
Yeah.
A few?
And they do the weird, what do they call that thing? It's like an incantation or...
That's a Tony Robbins thing as an incantation.
What do they call that? It's all one note except for like the last two or
Sure.
the second to last or whatever that is.
Yeah, now you got to look it up, but I don't know. There's I don't know. There's an element about that I really love, and an element of that I don't love.
Yeah,
I don't know. I love the unifying of everybody just kind of like together, but I don't love how if you're not like into doing that, it's just like this drab kind of feeling. Yeah, and they pick like all minor keys too, so like every time you say something, it's always like sad of the Lord.
Is it the Gregorian chant?
Whoa,
or
I
is
don't
that
know.
something else? Because this says it's a monophonic plain chant, unaccompanied sacred song. Weird. I don't know. That's just what came up.
All right. Well, either way, glad you're listening to episode 11.
Yes.
And as a just kind of a announcement to our listeners, we're going to be going to episode 12, and we're going to call that season 1
dun, dun, dun.
of the Roasted Christian Podcast. After season 1, we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to regroup, figure out how we're doing this, what we're doing this, and planning some more if we want to, or just whatever. But we're going to have a little after season 1 break, and then we're going to jump into season 2, hopefully within a few weeks after season 1 has started. But stay on the Facebook, on the Twitter. Check out the website for updates of when season 2 will start. But we'll have season 1 ending after episode 12. Sneak peek. Episode 12 is going to be talking about
Sneak that peek.
Harry yoga.
Yeah.
Harry
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Yoga.
Yoga instructors. Yeah. So that's your little sneak peek. So that's our announcement. Johnny, one of the things we like to do here is drink coffee.
Mm-hmm.
What am I drinking?
You are drinking that good old Kenya peaberry that we had a couple weeks ago. Isn't it scrumptious?
Peaberry. Is this similar to the bear urine that you made me drink before?
No.
The peaberry?
This is much better.
This is better.
This is the one I think I said smelled like blueberry pancakes when I was roasting it.
Now, if our listeners wanted to get some of this Kenya peaberry, where should they go to get some?
SweetMarias.com.
Hey, check out sweetmarias.com, not a sponsor.
Although, honestly, I don't know if they still have it because their batches are really small.
Oh, okay.
But it's worth a shot.
Do you recommend that site for other whole bean adventures?
Yep, I buy all my stuff from that. The only sucky part is the shipping, but if you're brave enough to buy in bulk, it's not that bad.
Cool.
So,
all right. Well, check them out if you are starting to get into the whole bean air popping, pop roasting methods of your coffee enjoyment. Yeah, it is good. Jeez, it's better than the Dunkin' stuff I had at work.
Yeah, probably the closest thing they have right now is a Kenya Nyeri Gatugi peaberry. It's $6.80 a pound, which is pretty awesome.
Wow, yeah.
They cup all their coffee, which is really weird. I don't know if you've ever seen people cupping coffee. So like they take a little bit in their mouth and then they spit it out right away, and then they just kind of like roll their tongue around and like, and then they do it again and then they spit it out like you don't ever drink any.
Oh, is this like their method for determining what this tastes like?
Yeah.
Like their description?
Yep.
Oh, I thought it meant like this is part of the process of how we get you your beans. We're going to stick the beans in our mouth. We're going to swish them around and spit them out into a bag and ship them to you.
No. So this, they cupped this pretty high. This, the new Gatugi Peaberry is a score of 90.
Ooh.
So that's pretty impressive.
Gabe just tied, I believe, my high score on Endless Ducker. I've downloaded the
that sounds like a
Dude Perfect game
for a swear word.
Yeah, probably should be.
Endless Ducker.
Yeah. Dude Perfect's latest Android iPhone game.
Okay.
It's kind of addicting.
All right.
But all right,
check that out too. Also not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Maybe we should try to get Dude Perfect as a sponsor. That'd be
sure.
I
thought of that actually last. I just listened to the Annihilationist podcast yesterday. I was mowing the lawn. We're actually kind of funny.
You think so?
I was impressed. I got a couple chuckles out of myself.
It is weird. What's weird re-listening to the podcast, like editing or something, is dang, I forget that timer every time. How far are we in, Gabe? Dang, it's 6 minutes. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, re-listening to it, knowing that here comes the joke I'm going to say, and then I still laugh at it. I'm like, maybe I'm pretty lame by
maybe
doing
we're
that.
just really egotistical.
Yeah, we're just all about ourselves.
But
that's why we're doing a podcast, so we can hear ourselves talk even more.
Why not? Yeah, at the end we were talking about movies, and I said I described Species as a dude horror film.
Okay.
And it just totally made me think of Dude Perfect, but not in the right way.
Not in the right way, yeah. They're definitely not
that kind
species.
Of dudes.
Yeah. Not that kind of dude species. They're more like, hey, dude, bro.
Yeah.
Let's do some trick shots in our backyard and make millions of dollars doing it.
For real, though.
God, man. Good for them.
Good on ya. God bless them.
God bless them. All right. Speaking of God bless them, Colin Kaepernick.
Dun, dun, dun.
So our chit chat today, we're going to talk about a little bit about Colin Kaepernick. John, I want to know your perspective about Mr. Kaepernick. So if for our listeners who are unfamiliar, Colin Kaepernick is a non-starting quarterback, used to be starting quarterback, but non-starting quarterback anymore for the San Francisco 49ers.
Which, how does that even happen? Like, he won a Super Bowl, yo.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't.
He did not win, right? He did win?
He did win.
He did not win.
He didn't.
He lost to the Seahawks, right? And then he was a game short of the Super Bowl. I think that's what happened.
Okay.
And yeah, I think after that Super Bowl season, his skill set just started declining.
The Ravens.
He lost to the Ravens?
Mm-hmm. By a field goal.
Oh, that's right. It was brother versus brother in the Super Bowl. The Harbaughs in the Super Bowl. Anyway, Colin, he recently in a preseason game during the national anthem, instead of standing, he sat on the bench in protest. And individuals asked him, what was this in protest about? Essentially, in my summary, his protest is he is not well, I got a quote here. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder. So he's basically speaking out against oppression in the United States that's going on, and why should he stand for during a flag? He felt like that would be hypocritical.
Right.
What are your thoughts on what he is doing?
Yeah.
And I kind of have like questions about like, is the flag a sacred cow that cannot be slain in this country, or should it be slain? Is that the most American thing you can do is not stand during the national anthem?
So okay. I have 3 points. I don't know about the flag. I would be curious to ask
the what?
The flag.
Oh, the flag.
The flag.
Uh-huh.
I'd be curious to ask people in other countries how they see their flag.
Mm-hmm.
If there would be similar response in another place, or if the U.S. is sort of on its own in that regard.
Sure.
Okay, so my 3 points. First, I think it's like his coach, I think, said, like, this is totally within his rights.
Yeah.
This is freedom of expression. He, like, nobody has to agree with him. He can just do this.
Yep.
So it is within his legal right. There was a dude in the NBA, I think, who became a Muslim and did not stand for the anthem because he didn't feel like America was friendly towards Islam.
Okay.
And the NBA suspended him for a little bit. And then I think they had to kind of recant on that. I'm not sure all the details. But so we don't really know what'll happen with Colin. Second point, I think it's ridiculous the kinds of responses people are having to this. Like, not only is everybody outraged, but they're like downright mean. Like one dude, Joshua, no, that's the author of that book. I was going to say Joshua Harris.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Somebody else in the NFL who is actually a black guy was like, dude, he's not even black. He can't do that. It's like, wait, what? Like, yeah, Rodney Harrison. At least that was the title of the article. So then they explain his quote, basically.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, it's still important that he's like doing this and whatever, but he's not even black. So like,
because
it's not a true expression.
The only people that can stand for others is actually can't be for others. You have to be of the exact same oppressed
you
people
have
group.
To be oppressed in order to stand with them, which I think is ridiculous. And then there's lots of stuff about like, Colin Kaepernick sitting for the national anthem because that's all he does anymore is just sit the bench. Like he can't even play. Yeah. I don't know. Like, can we actually talk about the issue that he's trying to raise awareness for? Like, we're annoyed that, I don't know. Do you think that he is sincere in this, or do you think he's just trying to, like, hey,
stir up some buzz?
I'm second string, man. Like, what the heck am I gonna do?
I think he's sincere. I don't know if it's misplaced or not, but I believe what he's doing is sincere. I believe he's bringing attention to an issue,
right?
In a way that he felt like this is one way I can help bring attention to an issue.
Yeah, and I mean, it worked.
It works.
We're paying attention. I think we're paying attention to the wrong things. Is my problem. Like, okay, so he doesn't stand for the national anthem. That, I think, pushes a lot of buttons for a lot of people.
So that's okay. Directly to that point, national anthem, the flag, is that any type of protest during those events or around those symbols, is that off base? Is anything you do around there in a protest of anything else, is that immediately, should that be considered offensive to people who have fought for our freedoms?
Legally speaking, he should be able to do that. As far as how offensive it is, that's just I think a case by case basis.
So let's take his case. He's sitting during the national anthem.
No, we're right. I mean, for the people who
are getting offended.
Like, I can't speak for the armed forces. Like,
sure,
if they are really offended, then they're really offended.
Well, that's what we're here to roast. Is those people be like, not the people being. Should you be offended by someone sitting during the flag? Here's one element of how I've been mulling over this is, I think an element is, hey, listen, the flag and our national anthem and what our soldiers are fighting for. They are fighting for something. They are fighting for those freedoms. They are fighting for equality, right? And he is specifically protesting against, listen, we have people who are not experiencing those freedoms in our country, who are oppressed. So essentially he's saying, listen, in a way, like, what you're fighting for, I'm trying to bring awareness to that. To a degree, you're fighting for it in vain. It's not. I want to bring attention almost to the soldiers, and I'm actually surprised not more soldiers are standing with him and saying, listen, I fought for these freedoms. Why aren't people getting them?
Yeah.
You know, that I think more soldiers should be standing with him and saying, why aren't people, what was it, Gabe? Veterans for with Kaepernick is trending. Okay, so there are people who are standing and starting to get more of a voice. Unfortunately, the majority voice you hear is people ripping Kaepernick, but so maybe that's why I haven't seen it. But Yeah, I think there needs to definitely be do people get offended too quickly because of the flag? I mean, I think they are. I think
people just get offended too quickly because of anything.
In anything.
And it's sort of like in vogue.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do anything remotely not acceptable or whatever, it's just like, how dare he?
Yeah.
Yeah, whether or not, I guess it's a real issue, I think his protest is an effective one.
Oh, yeah.
In that people are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm surprised, that the veterans would maybe take as much offense. Like, it seems like his statement was more about, like, the police and Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Maybe it's more general than that, and I just assume that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can see how people are saying, like, listen, standing for the flag or during the national anthem is, no matter what is going on in the country, it symbolizes something that we're aspiring to. And if you aspire to that, stand with me in unity to aspire to that as well. So I see that point.
Yeah, it does.
But it is a protest.
People would be annoyed that he is sort of kind of withdrawing participation.
Yeah.
Like saying, like, I don't want to be a part of this country, or I don't want to, like, help represent it when there's stuff wrong with it.
Sure.
Like, we don't have a perfect country anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see it both ways. Like, if you don't agree with what he's doing, then it's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, you're kicking your country under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Just terrible. If you do agree with him, it's like, yeah, he is an American and he wants to make it a better place by raising awareness.
Yeah. I've read that it's definitely one of the most American things you can do is not stand during the national anthem or, like, burn the flag. Mm-hmm. In protest of showing your, like, exercising essentially the rights and freedoms that you have to give a voice to people who don't feel like they actually have those rights.
Right.
I personally, in my opinion, I think what he's doing is fine as a protest, because not all protests, have to be cookie cutter in the way that people need to receive it. Right. You know, like, I do have a slight issue with blocking traffic. But
yeah, that's
I think it's in another element. But I see how people would take the argument of, like, listen, people are being inconvenienced with their freedom, so we're going to inconvenience others. I think there's hypocrisy in there. That's just my own personal feeling. But I definitely see that what he's doing is effective. It's giving a voice to people, and I think he can get people rallying behind him to get some kind of movement going, which is kind of the part of the protest is seeing change, getting people aware, getting information out there. And he's doing it in a non-violent way.
Right.
He's doing it that's not infringing on anyone else's rights. Right. It's exactly. I mean, I don't know why people are. I understand why, but at the same time, I don't know why. Like, you need to get over it a little bit, I think. Yeah. I mean, I have family that have fought for this country. And it's just I don't see how we wouldn't stand with Colin, because he's trying to give a voice to people who feel voiceless.
Yeah. I personally think that the protest is probably one of the more artful ways to go about it.
Yep.
And if it personally offends you that another person is not standing for the national anthem, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like you said, I do know why, but I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Because it seems like a lot of people are just getting, like, outraged. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, like, you literally do not even know him.
Yeah.
Like,
and people, and it shows the ignorance of people's responses when they show out memes like, Colin Kaepernick's mansion that he lives in, like, oh yeah, you're totally oppressed, Colin. It's like, no, you actually have you have recognized to me you have no idea what he's talking about or what he's trying to accomplish. Yeah. You have just proven you completely missed the point. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's difficult. But Colin Kaepernick, I stand with you. One person who's not standing anytime soon with Colin Kaepernick, Teddy Bridgewater. Did you like that segue? That was so natural. It was great. The standing, you looked like dumb-faced. And you're still dumb-faced, mainly because you're just thinking about Teddy right now, probably, as a Vikings fan.
I was looking up Colin Kaepernick memes. Teddy Bridgewater
dislocated his knee.
No, he tore his ACL.
And tore his ACL. It was a dislocated knee that tore his ACL completely. Yep. That's what brought it to an emergency state.
Oh, so it was both.
Yeah.
Okay. So
this was a dislocated knee is a very, very, very serious issue. And this is like one of the worst that could happen, that could cause tons of damage. So from what I've heard from doctor friends,
for more than 9 months.
Oh yeah, 9 to 15 months. Geez. So Minnesota Vikings, I actually said at work yesterday they should look at Colin Kaepernick. Get him out of San Francisco, bring him into here. I also said that.
I mean, I saw him in that Super Bowl year, and he was not bad. I don't know how he's been playing lately.
I think he would fit within the model of our offense, especially with AP.
He's younger than the other guy. Yeah, wait, who is that other guy?
Yeah. Sean Hill. Sean Over the Hill.
Wait, who?
Isn't it Sean Hill? Yeah. Sean Over the Hill? Yeah.
Sean Hill.
Yeah, so I would guess, I don't know, just as our Christian duty, Teddy, we're praying for you.
Yeah, it's rough.
It is and I mean, a knee dislocation is an extremely serious thing, and can be very risky. I mean, like your leg's at stake in the moment. It's very serious. So I'm glad
Probably
that it looks like recovery is going to happen.
And he had contact, it would have been a lot worse.
Oh, I mean, it could have been, but it's we're hoping for a fast recovery for him in Vikings Nation. What did you expect?
Super bombed, man.
Vikings Nation. What do you expect, man?
It seems like third year is kind of the pivotal year. Like, if a QB does not noticeably improve in his third year, it's like, well, maybe we want to start looking for somebody else.
Doesn't he have?
He doesn't even get a third year.
Did you say though, Gabe? He has the best completion percentage out of any quarterback before the age of 25 in the history of the NFL.
He's broken a lot of rookie type records.
Mm-hmm.
But taking a blow like this, missing an entire year in your development. Dude.
Well, get the game film going.
Yeah.
I mean, just study as best you can. Become an offensive genius juggernaut.
Yeah, a lot of what I appreciate about him is his brain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's the most physical QB, but he's got to where it counts. But, so hopefully a year off won't totally.
Gabe's still playing Endless Ducker. All right. I beat you, okay. He said. All right. Well, that's we've had our announcement. We've chatted about Colin and Teddy, and we've drank some coffee. I think we are ready, Johnny. What do you think? Are we ready?
For who? Whobizas?
Topless. Yeah, whobizas. That's right. Our word of the week, whobizas. Let's dive into the fresh roast. All right, so if you listened to last week's episode, whobizas is our slang term for female breasts of the human
totally
variety.
Figured out how to spell it.
Okay, yeah. How are we spelling it?
WHOBIZAS.
Yes,
whobizas.
Whobizas. If you need that as a code word for something, and something you probably shouldn't be writing.
Really, but specifically in this context.
Yep. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is, does our culture over-sexualize everything? Women, men, how we...
household appliances.
Household appliances. Is that sexualized? But, like, just kind of... We were talking about women in public, men in public, how they should be dressed, how men and women perceive the opposite sex in public. Are things way too over-sexualized? Are we taking things way too seriously? There was this trending topic, and the thing that's been happening, it's called Go Topless Day.
Which I think was this last Sunday.
Yeah. And it was a it came 2 days after Women's Equality Day, and it's a push to get essentially the legal rights for women to go topless in public, because they feel like there's a double standard for men versus women.
Okay.
Why do men... So I guess a question to ask is there a double standard for men's and women's nakedness in public?
Well, I mean, I guess I would look at it and say
there's a double D standard. Okay, sorry.
You went there. I guess okay. I might get roasted in today's liberal whatever, but I cannot get over the fact that there is a fundamental difference between men and women.
There is?
There is.
Tell me more.
Well, physiologically, for start.
Does it have to do with whobizas?
Maybe. So, I get the idea of equality. I don't get the idea of mimicry.
Okay.
To put it, to oversimplify. Okay. So women want to get paid as much as men.
Yeah.
That's fine if they do the same things. Women want to vote like men. That's fine. Like, they're people too.
Yeah, so when you say that's fine, it's not like I approve of this. It's like, no, that's how it should be done, right? Like, women, if they do the same job as men, should be getting paid the same money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why not.
I'm thinking of some people out there like, that's fine. What, you approve of that, John? You're giving your, like, no, it's not. Okay, relax, people.
People
okay?
definitely need my approval in order for this kind of stuff to happen. No, I'm just saying, like, those sorts of things should be equal.
Yes.
I think there are differences between women and men, and where those differences exist, I don't know if we can have a singular standard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, which maybe needs to change, but there are still men's sports and women's sports.
Sure.
And they have their own records. They have their own difficulty. They have their own deal.
Yep.
And as, like, it sounds terrible to say this, but I think if they were to compete together, the men's teams would cream them every time.
Mm-hmm.
There are differences to an extent between men and women.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the issue of can you wear a shirt or can you not and not get thrown in jail, like, men don't have boobs.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just, like, leave it at that? Like,
yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm kind.
Maybe that's too simple. I don't know.
I think an element of it. So just talking about like toplessness for women, right? There's actually a lot of states that this is legal, and there are a few states that it's explicitly not legal, and there are a few states that it is ambiguous on what the language says for women being topless. Yeah, maybe.
Noon.
So I think, yes, I agree with you. I think the whobiza itself is a differentiating element that it talks. I mean, are we talking like biblical modesty here? Like, okay, from a Christian perspective, modesty.
Yeah, we could go there.
It seems clear. Like 1 Timothy 2:9, likewise also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel with modesty and self-control. Immediately after that is let the women learn quietly with all submissiveness. But also immediately before that talks about how men should be behaving in public, like no quarreling, no anger, and how they lift up holy hands in prayer.
Yeah.
It was basically the whole theme is about just what is your behavior in public like? That's kind of where I was going with immediately before and immediately after that verse.
Right.
He's talking about how you like what is modest of your not only behavior but how you present yourself as a godly person. If you're presenting yourself who profess godliness, it says, that means something.
Sure.
Okay. So I would say it's not wise for a man or a woman to dress in a way in public that is not, if it brings attention to yourself first instead of God, I think that's where starting the lines getting crossed.
Okay.
Where if it's
that to me that's too broad.
Is it too broad?
Yeah. I mean,
but it's to bring just about everything
yourself,
with the Bible is
like
about a heart
wear
issue.
A clown suit.
Well, yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's go here because you have a link here for Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some passages, I guess, is it in the Quran or the?
This is so I got from
like
Islam.ru. It's an article about dress code of Muslim women.
Yep.
But it actually says in Islam there is dress code for both men and women.
Right.
Both men and women have dress codes.
Have they done away with the dudes' dress codes, or is that still in effect?
No, I believe that's still in effect.
I think I see, maybe it's just media, and they're generally more liberal, the ones that get presented, but I see them pretty much wearing Western clothes.
Western clothes is okay.
Okay. So what's
so
the dress
so
code
for the men, let's see. Western clothing that does not represent a certain group or sect is normally permitted. Okay. It should not resemble the clothing to a specific that is specific to the non-Muslim. So in general, pants and a t-shirt is not specific enough to a non-Muslim, but maybe if there's something on that shirt that then is bringing attention in another way, then it is. But yeah, men, part of the body from the navel to the knees need to be covered. It should not resemble clothing worn by women. It should not be tight or see-through. A man is not permitted to wear garments made of silk or jewelry made of gold. Those two things are acceptable for women. Let's see. Women's rules, the hijab covering must conceal the entire body except for the face and the hands. Can't be translucent or tight. It should not attract attention to the opposite gender. And the quote I wanted to get out of this is, Islam holds women in a very high esteem, and the Islamic rules of covering are intended to protect and guard her dignity and honor.
That was
That's the intent.
To me.
Yeah.
Guard her dignity from what? Like from men?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. So, to me, reading that article, which I guess maybe in the West we just kind of have a bias to not believe whatever we read on face value about Islam, which I'm trying to get over, I guess. But it seems like there is there's rules for both guys and girls, like do this, do that, and
it's about
wearing a hijab would suck probably more than the guys' rules. Yeah, guys do have rules.
Yeah, and it's about, I think the idea is that what they're grasping is dignity, honor, respect, and not bringing attention to oneself, but keeping attention focus towards God, right? I think that is consistent also with the biblical kind of concept of modesty. Is it's a heart issue all the time. It's almost a heart issue in the Bible. So is it a matter of I don't care what I do and how it affects other people, so I'm going to wear and dress whatever I want to dress. Therefore, I think in that type of mentality, you're already not thinking God first. You're thinking you first.
Right. So, and then my question to that would be, are we, to what extent do we try to implement the rules of Christianity or Islam
on others,
government,
and culture, sure,
right, and try to externally moderate how people live? Yep. Because I'm guessing the argument is made, like, who's died from, public whobisa sightings?
Yep. It's what's interesting is I think just kind of common sense in a way, I think innately tells us within each person that people walking around naked just doesn't feel right.
Right. You could, yeah.
And if anything, also that kind of like I would think a mode of Christendom is we don't want to try to divide. We want to try to bring peace. And if you're walking around naked, I think kind of almost inherently,
you're being pretty divisive.
You're bringing kind of divisive, right? You're like, you're going to bring a divide there. It does not build up and it does not bring peace.
Sure.
In general. Now you can argue semantics, specific cases, whatever. But in general, you just start walking around the town naked. It's divisive, or divisive. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Divisive.
Divisive?
I think divisive is weird.
Okay.
I'm trying to be divisive.
You're trying to be divisive? Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So the question is, can you? Should that be a rule? Like, you can't do this? Something about nakedness just is, like, I think inherent in all of us, like,
right.
This is reserved for private.
Right.
Not for public.
I think we can definitely establish the fact that whobizas should not be shown in public from the biblical sense.
Yeah. Is that something we should push culture towards.
Right. Because okay, so is this on the same level, like morally, as I don't know, like theft for the Christian?
At the same level?
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to put this like in the context of like.
No, I don't say it is. I wouldn't say it is, because let's say I have a young kid, right? And the kid sees a robbery happen.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to make the kid go, yeah, robbery. But if he sees a naked girl walking around, right, that might do something to him or her.
Yeah.
Differently than seeing a robbery. So how this, if we want to say two amoral acts, affect individuals, they affect us differently.
Right. I think your point about an issue of the heart is important, because it's an issue of the heart of the person who wants to bear everything.
Yeah.
But it's also has an effect on the hearts of like the observers.
Yep.
And like in some respects, I think it does kind of infringe my rights. Like, should I be forced to
see that,
like whobizas all over the place?
Yeah.
Like that's not my choice.
Yeah. It's I
don't know. I mean, maybe that's a weird argument.
I mean, I understand. Okay, so we are not talking about. I think in a way, I want to make a distinction. Yes, men are not responsible, or excuse me, women are not responsible for what a man thinks about how they look. Like, yes, you could dress up as anything or look in any way, tight clothing, non-tight clothing. You could be in a hijab. You could be wearing just a G-string. And guys can take any liberties in their mind about what they think about that person, okay? Yes, I understand that. Women are not 100% responsible for what a man or anyone else thinks about or reacts to what they're wearing.
Yeah.
I get that, okay? But what we're saying is there still is a partial element of taking in consideration how you affect others by what you do. And this goes beyond just what you wear, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what we're talking. That's the hard part about American freedoms is there are many boundaries that are hard to cross about my freedom to do this does infringe maybe possibly on someone else's freedom on an opposite spectrum. Just like you said, your freedom to walk around topless infringes on my freedom to be able to walk around feeling safe, with my eyes open, feeling safe that this is a safe environment, or that it is a, that it's just not crude, I guess.
Okay, so is this? We should maybe have a pro go topless day person here, hopefully clothed.
Yeah, Gabe's raising his hand. He's pro topless right now.
And
cleavage. What's the line between cleavage and nipples? So that's the thing in our culture. Okay, in our culture, yeah.
Like, are we going there?
So I think the problem has not been the nipple. In my mind, in our American culture, the problem has been how close we want, how much of the boob we want to show. I think that's been the problem. It's not like, okay, well, there's a double standard of nipples. I'm like, no, what happens is the line of how much boob we show is where the actual problem is.
Maybe.
Like all this, like, here, I'm going to wear a dress that shows all of side boob, 90% of front boob, and non-nipple. And it's like, to me, that's still not okay. That's still not, in my mind, that's not appropriate. And
so if they had everything covered, but there was just a little hole for the nipple, that would be okay?
That's a good question.
I don't think it would be.
I still don't.
Very stimulating.
Yeah.
So, I'd probably be okay with it.
Just nipple, no boob.
I will say, I think there's a double standard in.
It's hard because I'm a dude, so only I can only think of in terms of. I'll say this: I'm a heterosexual dude.
Yeah.
So in I think in my mind, your breasts should be covered. Your whobizas, 100% of your whobizas should be covered.
Sure.
Right.
I will say that there seems to be a double standard, not between men and women, but between models and mothers. And this has kind of been making the rounds.
Okay.
Every so often it pops up, the idea of public breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a problem? Lots of people get offended. Other women get offended. And then you, like, walk into the mall and you're buying coffee at Caribou Coffee. P.S.
And there's a boob.
Yeah, light roast on the St. Cloud Crossroads Center Mall because the Caribou Coffee kiosk is right in front of the Victoria's Secret shop. Like, can we find a better place, please? But my point is, so you go into the mall, you buy coffee, and you're sitting there, and you just kind of, you're people watching, and you look around, and there's a big person with hardly any clothes on at all.
Yeah.
So there is a double standard, I think.
Sure.
And I don't know what to do about it. I think if you're going natural with the breastfeeding, like is a blanket really that burdensome for you?
Okay, so in my mind, the breastfeeding, part of the arguments I've heard are like, listen, this is a 100% natural act. I need to feed my kid. Yep. Get over it. A, I agree with that argument. B, I disagree with how you're using it to justify I'm flashing my boob out there in public.
Sure.
Because me urinating is a 100% natural act, but I'm not whipping
and it's
my...
a need.
Yeah, and I can't just not do it. I need to do it, but there's rooms for that. I'm not saying you have to... I'm not saying you have to go to a room to breastfeed the child. I'm not saying that, but I think the blanket concept is perfectly justifiable as an appropriate response to both your right to breastfeed your kid in public and my right to not see your boobs. And you wouldn't just naturally throw your boobs out there in public either way. It's like, just because the kid is feeding, it's like, nope, this gives me now 100% justification to that, like, I can throw it out there. It's
so what I wanted the pro Topless Day person on here for is to ask, is this about the principle of equality, or do you really want to not wear a shirt?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, because
I think there are some. I think there is a much smaller subset of those people protesting who just really want to wear no shirt.
Right. And
that would be my guess.
Because what's going on here? Like, if we just want equality, let's define equality better.
Yeah.
Like, dudes can wear no shirt
and women can't. That's equal. Like, you try. To me, it's like I think because of our cultural shift of saying men and women are the same in every way, not just equal. I think we're changing the word equal to be the same.
Right.
We're not the same. We are equal in the image of God. We are as far as love, respect, design, creation, purpose, effectiveness, gifting, all those kind of things. But we're still different. Yep. We have some purposes and some functions that are just different. Mm-hmm. There are some inherent responsibilities that are just different, okay?
And this really does not even go that deep. Like, we're talking about physical differences. So we're applying physical rules and restrictions on physical differences. Like, there's no it does not seem unjust to me.
Maybe men should not be topless in public.
I mean, we could go.
Would that not?
Islam.
I mean, that could be a safer, not safer, but a more logical or distinction to make.
Right.
That satisfies not only the equality aspect of nakedness in public or toplessness in public, but also the equality between men and women on that exact issue.
Sure.
And the rights for individuals who are choosing not to be topless and see people who are. You now know, like, listen, I'm not going to see any topless person. Women, you're not going to be like oogling over a dude who's completely ripped, or if your thing's a dude who's completely fat, whatever. You're not going to be oogling over that in public because you're not going to see it anymore, because guys, you have to wear a shirt in public. Now, private land, completely different story, but we're talking about public.
Yep.
So yeah, we're talking beaches. Yeah. you get to the beaches. Like, what do we do about beaches? I mean, basically, women are wearing underwear, and so are men out there. Why? I don't know. I mean, we got. It's just we're trying to draw lines on things that are curvy, like whobizas.
Yep,
oh, jeez, those curvy things.
Jeez, put some lines on them.
Yeah. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. I think this is Galatians 5:13. I think it sums up well a Christian attitude towards any of these issues.
Yep.
Are you looking to serve one another humbly in love? What is your heart bent towards first? We can lead by example, guys. We don't have we don't have to beat other people into submission. We can lead by example, and we could. That would definitely be serving one another with the fist of love.
Yep.
That's what that verse says. But I don't know. Is this like? Do we keep going?
I don't know. I say,
Gabe, are there any questions that we have not answered adequately on this issue for us to be talking about? No, we successfully drew some lines on the curviness. No, yeah, he doesn't think so. We didn't come to any conclusions.
All right, my stance: if you want equality, no toplessness for any gender. Period.
I am 100% agree with you. I think the line, instead of going towards more toplessness for everyone, it should be less toplessness for everyone. Everyone is equal in the amount of clothing that they are required to wear in public.
Dude's not wearing a shirt. Like, I'm not really.
I don't want to really see that. Yeah, I'm not really digging that. Like, sometimes I am like, dude, put a shirt on. Like, yeah, doesn't matter if you're ripped or if you got man whobizas. Like, you need to put a shirt on.
The man bisas.
Man bisas. Yes. Mambias. So we can kind of, I don't know. There. Is that better, Gabe? We came up with a line.
Okay,
Men need to be wearing shirts as well. That's the direction we should be going.
And so, for the record,
less freedom for more freedom.
Yeah.
You've heard that new quote here first.
Less freedom for more freedom. In general, I think men are more visual. That does not rule out every woman from being visual in how they are attracted to men. So, like, there are dudes who definitely flaunt what they've got.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it's just
and they know what they're doing, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Maybe in that respect, there's a double standard.
It's a matter, it's a matter of the heart. It's women and men, whoever you are. Recognize what you do and what choices you make do affect others. And if you are a Christian, you need to take that in consideration.
Yeah. What's interesting to me, my mind just went to the desert island scenario. Like, if you're with other people, like, put a shirt on. If you're on a desert island, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But in the garden, as soon as they realized, like, as soon as they were aware of their sin, they also became aware of their nakedness, and it weirded them out.
Yeah.
They wanted clothes. So I think there is some inherent drive for modesty that these kinds of protesters are either ignoring or trying to stamp out.
Or could the perception be, listen, the original design was that we are not ashamed of our nakedness, and Adam and Eve screwed it up. Therefore, why can't we try to be better than them and trying to be see beyond this? Yeah.
But right now, like, we're aware of it and shouldn't happen.
All right, I'm with you. Men, put a shirt on. That's been roasted.
Draw lines on those whobizas.
Draw lines on your whobizas. I think that does it for the fresh roast.
What happened in Florida, Bob?
Well, Florida, a couple things happened because always things happen in Florida. One, let's read this headline. Florida man dressed as dinosaur arrested with airsoft rifle. Florida man was arrested Sunday after police said he was found roaming around a park with an airsoft rifle and wearing a dinosaur costume.
Arrested for what?
He was walking around Cocoa Area Park in a gamer dinosaur type costume with a tactical police type vest, black ski mask while holding an airsoft rifle and multiple magazines for the gun on Sunday.
Yeah, I would arrest him too.
Police said they told him he was part of a gaming group and wanted to participate in a flash mob. He was arrested on suspicion of disorderly conduct and wearing a mask while committing an offense at a park. I don't know what that is. But
seems like they made something up that they could throw him in there for.
Probably.
Is it illegal to have an airsoft rifle? And
if it can be seen as disturbing the peace or disorderly conduct, especially if the airsoft rifle resembles, if there's no elements of it like they have an orange tip or elements that this could be a real gun. That's not good.
It's the dino costume.
Yeah, that's a little weird. But even more strange than that, our good friend and leader of Russia, Mr. Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was arrested in West Palm Beach, Florida.
It's about time.
I know. We finally got him, guys. Vladimir Putin is facing trespassing charges. No, not the Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, but Vladimir Putin of West Palm Beach, Florida, my hometown. Yeah, he was arrested at the Publix in West Palm Beach, Florida. Shout out to my family. We've been there. He told West Palm Beach police officers he missed his ride. He was screaming at employees and refused to leave. So he's facing charges of resisting, obstructing officers without violence. So Vladimir Putin, we finally got you. And, of course, we grabbed you in Florida.
No more Donald Trump endorsements for him.
Yeah, he's gonna be
in the slammer.
In the slammer. All right. Well, this has been episode 11. Remember, episode 12 next week, and that is going to be it for season 1 of the Roasted Christian podcast.
We're really looking forward to that one. I think it'll be fun.
I think that one's going to be a lot of fun about hairy yoga instructors. Is that close to what we're talking about?
Well, Harry Potter.
The
Lord
Potter.
Of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Yoga.
Minecraft.
Yoga. World of Warcraft.
Yeah, maybe we could go there.
We could go there.
Dungeons
and Dragons. Yes.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about next week on the Roasted Christian podcast. Thank you for listening. This is Bobby.
I'm John.
I appreciate your ears. I said you're welcome first. I shouldn't have said that. Or I said the thank you first. Yeah, I said the thank you. Yeah, well, yeah. Whobizas.